But, speaking of aura, this guy might need to move up as well, too. This might be the next bold. Willis Reed, chat. Willis Reed stumbling out of the tunnel in the finals, injured to swing the series and help the Knicks clinch a title, is absolutely iconic stuff. That just tough stuff that who knows any NBA player that's matched that level of toughness. Current guys, and shout out for Tatum for staying healthy. His durability is one of the main things. But if he had to stumble out of the tunnel, Willis Reed style, would it go as good as Willis Reed, made it go, chat? I don't know. It's a credit to Willis Reed. We just would have to see with Tatum. We don't know. But see, like I put Anthony Edwards over Willis Reed, and that's just my youth, and that's just people talking about Anthony Edwards as the face of the league, and that's also because of I don't know if you guys saw this as well, but the interaction he had with President Obama, and I don't know what the setting was, but it was maybe like a Team USA thing. I think it might have been from that doc, honestly, now that I remember. But I just remember the clip was the president, and I was just listening to a clip of Kevin Hart as well too, talking about how it's like an old clip of like, yeah, he's my friend, I just call him BO. So I was like, we got BO talking to him, BJ. I was like, shout out to the president. But you got President Obama, you got Embiid talking, and of course, Obama's like, Embiid, he's a good player, gives you guys trouble, blah 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 blah, and Edwards is just like, hey, it's like, I don't know if we're gonna start gassing up these other guys in front of me. Like, I'm a great player too. I hold my own against all these guys, and just him having that confidence to have that dialogue with a guy in that position is crazy, chat. I don't know. Would Willis Reed have approached it that type of way? I'm not sure. Booker for 3. The Phoenix Suns have cut this to 7 with 8 minutes left. Westbrook, don't blow this game. Maybe Devin Booker moves up the aura ranking, a little comeback here, chat. But I'm projecting out maybe a little bit too with Edwards, some playoff stuff. Maybe there's a title in there as well. But I mean, if Edwards doesn't get a title, then how do we put him above Willis Reed? Willis Reed has 2 titles. Willis Reed, double-time champ. And see, I also have Wemby. This is where I have Wemby. This is a peak current ranking. This is people expecting him to be face of the league. He's the prodigy. He's the alien. He's all that stuff. So hopefully this is not peak Wemby status. But for right now, I guess, he's in historic territory, chat. Historic territory. But not the highest current rated player. There is a couple more current rated players above him. We've got, I guess, 3 current players in a row here that are a couple of the major players left. We've got, whoa. That was one, chat. We've got, at least I've got it ranked this way. I'll read them. I know I've been unveiling it in opposite order, but here, I'll type it out and then unveil it in the opposite order that I've been unveiling it in. So the real order that it's written down is Russell Westbrook, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis, and then Wemby. So if we were unveiling it the same way we had been, it'd be, Wemby, then Giannis, then Shai, then Russ. But I have Shai over Giannis because I don't know if, and honestly, I'd have to just, for my time for history, I don't know if there is a team that has rallied around the personality of a star the way that the team has around Shai. And at times it almost veers into like cringy territory with the way they can act in some of the sideline post-game interaction, sideline interview stuff. But for the most, I mean, the confidence that they have in their guy, and I mean, it's well-deserved as well, too. I mean, Shai's going to win the MVP this year. His play is outstanding. We'll see what this team is able to do in the playoffs. But, and not to say that the Bucks don't like Giannis as much as the Thunder like. I'm just saying the way that they literally exude that their excitement and, appreciation, their love pause for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, the level to which they exude that is, I think, much stronger than the way that the Bucks show for Giannis. And honestly, like I was saying, about as, strong as any team in NBA history. So definitely more than Russ, but I think Russ, the historic totality of his aura and just, again, the effort and energy that he played with, I think he still deserves a spot above Shea. Doesn't mean Shea can't catch him at some point if he doesn't move up the Aura rankings. If he wins an MVP, now him and Russ are on equal playing territory in that field. But again, Russ literally won the MVP, so we got to keep him up the list. Maybe, see, I have Tracy McGrady above Russell Westbrook. And I feel like Tracy McGrady is, I was going to say he's going to get remembered favorably by the younger generation, but then I remembered he was left off the All-NBA 75 team, but that wouldn't necessarily be like younger voters, you know? That'd still be like a previous generation of guys who, again, maybe I wouldn't, and guys my age wouldn't necessarily represent the older side of the league as well. Like whatever the Tracy McGrady equivalent guy would be from the 60s, like we'd leave that guy off and then it'd be a disaster, you know? But like Tracy McGrady, if you're doing a under 45 top 75, Tracy McGrady's just, there's no way he's not in it. And again, that's just a very specific way to do the ranking. But if you guys play 2K, then you know that Tracy McGrady's a GOAT. And I have just been absolutely, absolutely dominated by Tracy McGrady a lot in 2K. It's just what it is. So he has historic aura, maybe for that reason alone. But if that's it, then it's enough. But above Tracy McGrady, we've got to put Hakeem. Legendary, story of how he eventually made it into the NBA. Legendary coach, I guess you could say. Legendary skill guy. Legendary trainer. Which is like a mythical Jedi post guy. Where it's like if you need a big man to just figure out offense and figure out how to score, figure out how to get some moves, you send him down into the whatever the place that you see. Now the Star Wars people are gonna kill me for not knowing where Yoda's at. What's the jungle planet that Yoda lives on? See, Star Wars people, I know it's a jungle planet. I think it's a jungle planet. Are the Ewoks also on that planet? It's Yoda and the Ewoks, and Luke, he crashes there or whatever. But all big men that want to know post moves, and all big men anyways, but definitely the ones that want to know post moves, should crash land on Hakeem Olajuwon's planet at some point and get the training and do the whole thing, because he is the mythical legend at it, and because of it, his aura is at historic levels. But I put Reggie Miller above Hakeem, chat. A live edit of Reggie Miller down a spot is going to be painful. And the thing is, you're going to look at the basketball talent, and Hakeem is obviously, better basketball player than Reggie Miller. No disrespect for Reggie Miller. But Reggie Miller is one of the great basketball players of all time, obviously. That's no disrespect to Reggie Miller whatsoever. Reggie Miller is great. But is Reggie Miller's aura stronger than Hakeem? That is a debate, chat. That is a debate. Because, again, I was going back and re-listening to some of these old Book of Basketball pods, and one of them was about Reggie Miller, and just one of the conversations in that was about how important not only his draft pick was because it was Reggie Miller, but the state of basketball that Indiana was in general. They needed an injection of life to keep the Pacers around potentially. And to think about the idea of a guy injecting, because you can't just inject basketball talent as well too. You have to inject personality. Like, the league is searching for a face, and the league is searching for somebody to market and for somebody to push and be like, and not that they don't have people to market, they're just looking outside, I guess, of Steph and LeBron, who is going to emerge if those guys go away as the next top dog in a real way that we're just confident in that. In any default setting, it's like LeBron and Steph. LeBron and Steph can always be the go-to guys in any situation because of what they're able to bring. Booker with the 4-point play potential. Fouled on a 3-pointer. He could cut it to 5 with 5 minutes. 5 with 5. Check. Clutch time. It's official. Speaking of clutch time, Reggie Miller. I mean, the back and forth with him with the Knicks, his rivalry with Spike Lee. I think version 1.0 will give Reggie Miller his respect and keep him where he's at on the list. An iconic figure in the NBA. But I've got Dirk next. And I think I've got the last name right, chat. Nowitzki. The one we actually spelled correctly might have been the most difficult one. We didn't even try. We didn't put Gildas Alexander or Giannis for those. Oh. We misspelled the Dirk, chat. Typing too fast. It is what it is. It happens to the best of them. And also the worst of them, chat, I guess, on this end. But Dirk, I mean, the 2011 finals is one of the great aura series of all time. Like we were talking about, the way that Miami was villainized in that run, and Dirk was able to keep them from winning the title. Yeah, we knew that they were going to win a ring, and they won 2. And at the end of the day, I think we look back and go, we're glad LeBron got those rings, of course. But, you know, from a legacy standpoint, it just, you know, makes his career a whole lot better. But the fact that in the moment they were able to not get that thing, and again, it's good for them to win the finals, but the fact that they actually then had to earn it in a way made it better. And Dirk made him have to earn it. Like, Dirk got the win, and that Mavs team showed that there is more to winning than just having the best players on the court. And, you know, of course, the mentality of the Heat was way off on that, but the connectivity that the Mavs were playing with, and just the formation of Dirk as our guy, and everything goes through Dirk, and then these guys around him are heat checking and popping off in the right moments, but also everybody's just confident that when this guy is heat checking, we can get him the ball, and everybody can get him, you know, getting the ball to the guys in the right moments, making sure the right guys are getting the right shots. Like, it was great in the moment that Mavs team, and again, maybe not for a Spurs fan, great that a Mavs team won, but, you know, for a greater NBA, obviously that was an iconic title. So Dirk for forever for that. I mean, Dirk's one of the statue guys in the NBA, and, you know, you think especially to non-Celtic, non-Laker statues. I don't know, the franchises that have like all the statues, it's like, okay, it's cool obviously when a guy gets a statue for those. It's any guy that gets a statue, but when you go out there and it's like, okay, the Bulls, obviously, with MJ, they had their historic guy. It's like, well, we got to put the statue up for MJ. You know, I'm assuming, I can't even believe I'm blanking if the Spurs have statues up for the big 3 right now. If we don't, then, you know, we need to get on that. Like, LeBron, of course, will have a statue in Cleveland at some point as well, too. But, and, you know, the LeBron statue, of course, is interesting because LeBron, of course, didn't have the one career thing. A Steph, obviously, you know, I can't believe we didn't mention Steph. Steph will have a statue in Golden State, and that's why Steph is so special. You know, Dirk, that's why Dirk is so special. He's got, it's just a unique filter of guy. The guy that was there his entire career and won a title, and not only won a title, but, you know, that legacy guy, best guy in franchise history, got the statue, just checked off every box for an organization. Dirk's, I mean, the Dirk basketball aura is crazy, all-time stuff. So he's up there. Tim Duncan, this is where we finally slot in Tim Duncan. We're about to hit the top 10 here. So Timmy being this close to the top 10, would you be like, Tim Duncan has a top 10 basketball aura of all time? But, I mean, everybody loves Tim Duncan, chat. Tim Duncan is like the safest. No, he's not the safest good basketball player. I mean, all the good basketball players are good basketball players. But there's a consistency that you get with Tim Duncan. And it deals with a lot of the off-court stuff as well, too. Where, oh, Jokic with the offensive foul. Malone with the challenge right away. Nuggets fans livid in the crowd. Phoenix cuts this down to 4 as well, too, with 3 minutes left. But, you know you're getting 50 wins. You know you're getting an amazing teammate. You know you're getting the ability to basically bring in any other type of star that you want, and you can build the team in any other direction. Like, it just doesn't matter. You have Tim Duncan. You have a great player. You have a great personality. And you do have a guy that you can build a franchise around in terms of a marketable way. Like, the Spurs, what are they marketable in terms of, bigger picture of stuff? But it's like the Spurs fans, again, Tim Duncan's beloved. I think Tim Duncan's beloved by the greater NBA as well, too. I don't think just because he's a guy that is in conversation in a different type of way, maybe not brought up in the same type of way, and with the same commonality. And, again, maybe, if Tatum, and I guess Tim Duncan does have the problems a little bit historically that Tatum has, where you go, was Tim Duncan the face of the league in the right way? But, if Duncan's legacy can be this high up on the historical aura rankings, then Tatum has a chance as well too. And again, Duncan's got 5 titles. Duncan's got this whole second half of his career. And Duncan, you know, the teammate stuff with, and not that Tatum doesn't have the teammate stuff, of course, but just the teammate stuff with Duncan and the personality. And again, as you move into the sort of that older, legendary, that teammate veteran stuff just hits differently as well too. When, of course, as your knowledge grows, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. It's just your knowledge and your IQ of the game is just more expanded as time goes on. But, you know, just such a legendary teammate guy by the end, and the defensive impact was still there. You could still anchor an entire side of the court around him being up on the field and, you know, almost into his 40s. So I know, you know, LeBron is an MVP at 40 now too, but Duncan's age stuff was impressive, even if it's not as impressive as LeBron's. But I mean, his aura is up there with every other NBA player in NBA history, which is, I think, the respect that he's garnered with the career that he had as well. But we got to put Bird, I think, above Duncan. You know, saving Reggie Miller saved the Pacers, but Bird and Magic saved the lead. So Bird, of course, goes up on this spot. And there is one other Celtic that I put above Bird on the list, and it's just one spot above him, so it could flip-flop either way, but I couldn't decide between historical aura rankings for Kevin Garnett and Larry Bird. And I went with the total career of Kevin Garnett, the total aura career versus Larry. Because again, you go with the Boston thing, like, yeah, Larry Bird's obviously a more Boston legend than Kevin Garnett. I think it's a close one, though, because, again, peak KG is as beloved as maybe any other athlete, and I assume the Boston fans, you know, would love peak KG just as much as any other athlete has ever been loved ever. But peak Bird, just the run was a little bit longer and, you know, just a little bit more iconic, a little bit more important to his teams that he was on. But nobody was going to play with more passion than Kevin Garnett. Nobody was going to play with more hustle. Nobody was going to play with more spirit. And it just made him such a likable basketball player. And he had amazing talent as well, too. Like, Rodman was a talented player, especially earlier in his career. There was a little bit more, you know, maybe, you know, I guess later in his career as well. But, you know, he was maybe a little bit more defined in his role. But the offensive stuff that Garnett was able to do, where he is, you know, going toe-to-toe with Duncan and some of this stuff. And again, this is not a historical player ranking. The aura that he had is probably, you know, more immense than Tim Duncan. If Kevin Garnett had had Tim Duncan's career, the face of the league stuff probably would have been a little bit of a different story. Like, if Tim Duncan had Kevin Garnett's personality, like, that would have been just a different conversation for the face of the league type stuff than with, you know, the personality type that we got with Duncan now. And again, not that better or worse, whatever, but, you know, again, just there was a charisma that KG had with himself. So combine, you know, Minnesota, all that stuff. And again, even he went back to Minnesota a little bit and had a little bit of a bench guy run as well too. But because it's not a Boston ranking, this is a historical NBA everywhere ranking, I think Garnett gets a little bit of a higher spot. Again, not above Bird as a better basketball player, but maybe just a little bit more aura than Larry Bird. But I guess the Bird Magic sandwich chat, Garnett right in the middle of it, because we got Magic Johnson next. Again, I guess it was a Celtic tie there between. So the tiebreaker part of it was the Celtics. The separating factor of it, for once, was the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, for once, won a series and won something. But Magic, of course, I think a little bit more charismatic than Bird, a little bit more personable, and, you know, probably more marketable as well too. The iconic stuff, they're mentioned together, so we could have put them back to back on the list. But the personality, of course, is just one of the more personable characters that we've ever had in the league. The problem with Magic is, Magic is at 9. So there's 8 other guys above Magic. You would think Magic would be like a lock top 5 personality in NBA history. The problem is Magic has gotten a little bit corny with some of the tweets, and he also ran the Lakers, was the GM for the Lakers. So I guess, you know, we didn't factor in GM runs, but I don't know. We didn't have a ton of like GMs on this list. We had a coach in Rudy Tomjanovich, and that worked out really favorably for him on this list. But not a great running a basketball team either. So affects, I guess, the total basketball career. Like we were saying, Jerry West gets the boost with the executive career. But some of the tweet stuff is a little... So at least for a young guy like me, it does make me look back and go, is there a corniness to the Magic? Not the Magic and the person that he had back in the day. But it's still Magic Johnson at the end of it. So one of the strongest auras that the league has ever seen. I guess we got the Celtics tie, and now it's a Lakers tie. See, I went with Shaq over Magic. That's going to be a young guy take, and the old heads are going to step in and say, Magic's importance to saving the league is what should put him above Shaq in an aura ranking. And again, we're talking about aura. It's his personality as well as his play on the court that gives the league a marketable superstar in a time when it really needs it. And not that the league didn't need Shaq, but MJ was, of course, in the league when Shaq got drafted, and the league needed Shaq when MJ was gone. But I mean, Shaq as an off the court, Shaq has had a better off the court run than Magic has. That's a fact. And Shaq on the court is really, really close. Really, really close. So I think that the combo of that puts him one spot above Magic on the aura rankings. But again, if you want to say the face of the league stuff with Magic, I get it. So I'd be willing in version 0.2 in future versions to definitely adjust Magic Johnson's spot on the ratings. But above Shaq, this is where we have Steph and LeBron. They've got to go side by side on the list. I guess, we could have had Bird and Magic side by side as well too. But Kevin Garnett, sneaky old Kevin Garnett, had to work his way on the list. But, we're talking about two of the actual faces of the league. And, two of the faces of the league for as long as we have seen, basically. I know LeBron, obviously, but, Steph is working into that way, too. And Steph's run at the peak of his power. He wasn't at the peak of his powers. And LeBron was not at the peak of his powers, quote unquote, his whole career. He did, obviously, improve from a rookie and so on. But he entered the league, of course, with that, I guess Wemby entered the league with LeBron hype. But, he entered that league with that hype of he is the face of the league, supposed face of the league, like right away. Like he is the prodigy. Like Steph, of course, had to become the face of the league over time. But, again, he emerged in 2014, 2015. So that's a decade ago at this season since they won that first title. That's a 10-year run of Steph Curry being that marketable, lovable superstar. And, Michael won 6 titles in 8 years. Again, 6 and 6 runs with, or I guess 6 and 7 runs because that one season he goes back half the season and they lose in the playoffs to the Magic. But, does he have a 10-year run as I guess from 88 to 98? It's still in a little bit of a like Magic and Bird are there hanging around. LeBron as well. Like MJ is kind of taken over by 88. So maybe, I guess the 63-point Celtics game, that would have been like the real arrival moment for him in a big way. So post that game, so maybe like an 11, 12-year run from MJ as a top guy. So again, we're seeing Steph in those categories as like historic pause length for face of the league stuff. I still think aura rankings, LeBron over Steph. But, Steph's close. He's got a new generation in a way. And I think current day, not that he's not, LeBron's playing awesome. So it's hard to say that Steph's outplaying LeBron. I mean, he is playing basically as well as anybody in the league. So, he could be outplaying anybody. But the recency bias momentum that I've had, it's like a rekindling the relationship with Steph Curry, chat. It's been awesome. And I almost want to flip him over LeBron just for the hot take stuff of it. And with the way he was able to change the three-point shooting game and the way that people started replicating his game in their real lives, I guess we just couldn't do that with LeBron. But if we could do that with LeBron, I mean, we absolutely would replicate LeBron as well, too. So we can't necessarily take that away from him. But it does add from Steph for the aura rankings. But for now, we'll still go Steph and then LeBron Now for the top 5, chat. Top 5 NBA players with the best aura in NBA history.